I've always been quite strong in never changing that. So to always stand up for what I believed in, no matter what kind of backlash I got, in the meantime, but to always remain consistent in that I know who I am, I know what God thinks of me, and just not to care so much about what people think, because you're never going to satisfy everyone. That's a fact.
Welcome back to another episode of The Tea with Nicky. We are pro-tea, not anti-coffee. And with the new level 3 lockdown, you could go to a restaurant or a quarantini and then enjoy this video as well. Today, I sit with someone who has pretty much First Lady status in South Africa, Rachel Kolisi. We talk about how she started Rise Women with her business partner, Tammy. What the Kolisi Foundation got up to on Youth Day, and then we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and how it should be closer to everyone's hearts. And we talk about what President Cyril Ramaphosa said with regards to gender-based violence in South Africa. I hope that you enjoy this. It is one that will touch your heartstrings as it did mine. How's your day been today?
It has been busy, very busy, but good. And yours?
Good, yeah. Same as well. Also busy, but all the good things. I feel like today
Awesome.
A very good Thursday, which I'm very excited about. It's a good pre-weekend start.
Yes, that's awesome. So
what did you get up to today, apart from your workout now?
I was with the refugee camp in Kensington for most of the day, just doing some meetings and stuff, just with regards to how we're going to help them and how other people are helping them, and just sharing information. And then also with Grace, which is someone else that I'm helping. I can't really say her location, but yeah, someone else that I'm helping. So just trying to sort some stuff out for her, because I was trying to raise 30,000 Rand for her and landed up raising 200,000 Rand. Which
That's
is
amazing.
So amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to get her a permanent property now, because I wasn't expecting to raise so much. So just navigating what that looks like is quite a process as well. So yeah, it's just been quite a full and busy day, and then we're heading off for a trip tomorrow for the foundation. So also just preparing for that and making sure the kids are all sorted and stuff. So
oh wow, yeah, where are you guys off to tomorrow?
To the Eastern Cape.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this part of the Youth Day? Are you doing sort of like a tour type thing, or is it to do with the Youth Day like you did the other day?
No, not so much with the Youth Day. It's with the Each One Feed One campaign. So it's more shops in the Eastern Cape area, and then we're rolling out a Adopt a School challenge as well. So for a Model C school to provide 3 months food of a school that's in a underprivileged community.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, the reason why I asked if it was part of the Youth Day thing, because I know it's been a big week for yourself and your household and the Kolisi Foundation.
Yeah.
Sia's birthday, and then it being Youth Day, and you guys had 4 project stops. You had the Kensington Refugee Camp, Community Kitchen in Mitchell's Plain, Raven's Mead, and Brian's house. Yeah. How did you guys choose those 4 locations, and what was that overall energy like on Youth Day itself?
Oh, it was amazing. So the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation came down to join us for the day, and we recently we were working in Joe Slovo at a soup kitchen there, and we actually drove past the camp, and we were like, hey, let's just stop off and see what's going on there. And I think I know some of our team members have been back every day since. So we've been there for about 10 days now, just going in and out and helping with a bunch of stuff. And it's just extremely close to Sia's heart. And, when I asked him what he wanted to do for his birthday, he was like, he just wants to give people food, wants to make sure people are fed. So we just made sure that it was all stuff that's very close to his heart. Not that any project is more or less. It's just that the need was great for these 4 projects. So yeah, it was just an amazing day and such a beautiful way to spend his birthday. So he was so grateful. And normally around his birthday, he's with the Springboks, and they are busy playing a test during this time. So it's actually the first birthday we've had him home in years. So it's just been such a cool week.
Were the kids with you when you went to the project locations?
No, they don't come with us, unfortunately. It's just a little bit too risky for numerous reasons.
Yeah, I can understand. Okay, that's amazing. And I mean, you guys must receive so much love and affection. You and Sia have sort of a presidential and first lady sort of aura about you guys. You've got that sort of status.
Oh, I've heard.
Yeah. So you were doing earlier Rise Studio and Rise Woman, and I know that you started that with Tammy, who was your personal trainer. So Rise Woman is a community for women to believe that they can be much more and help uplift one another. So how did you go from Tammy being your trainer to starting this initiative?
I mean, it's so interesting. We've got, it's such an interesting story, Tam and I, you know, how we met and how I landed up training with her. So I remember that, so we had met briefly at a dinner with mutual friends, and we didn't really hit it off. So we didn't, I don't know, we just weren't really, something we just, it was a dinner and we left and that was that. And a couple of later, she was at a braai and she said that they were watching a Springbok game, and all of these guys that were watching the game had just said how amazing Sia, how much they love him, and then just went on to say like how sorry they felt for him that he was married to me, and how I had let myself go, and how terrible I'm looking, and poor guy, whatever. And she was just horrified. She's like, I cannot believe that like people feel like it's appropriate to have these kinds of conversations. And she was just like, no. So she DM'd me and she said like, hey, do you want to come and train with me? So I started training with her, but I had recently had my second child, so I was still breastfeeding. And I found that the training actually really dried up my milk. So I stopped training again until I'd finished breastfeeding. And it was really just, it's obviously a tough time for anyone who's had kids. It's not easy to kind of navigate that new baby stage. And also when you've got a toddler and a husband who's constantly traveling, and I have 2 other children as well. So it was just a lot to navigate, and there was just a lot going on. And she just pushed and pushed and pushed, and she's like, "Are you finished breastfeeding? Are you finished breastfeeding?" And when I really wasn't in like the training brain space, but she was like, "Just come." So I started training with her, and I'm not a happy exerciser. So I'm not like, yay, it's exercise time, like get myself ready. I'm just like, I want to die for an hour. Nobody talk to me. No one look at me. Just leave me alone for an hour and let me get done with it. And I think she saw something in that, because she is similar when she trains. She's literally the nicest human being anyone will ever meet. But when she trains, she just goes into like a space where she's like, I'm focused. And so she and I started training together. And we started on this journey. She had gone through a really tough, something very tough in her personal life. I was going through a very, very tough time in my personal life as well. And instead of kind of comforting each other in this really bad space, we chose to kind of challenge each other, start journeying with each other on this amazing journey that we've gone on together. And a lot of women were asking like, how are you just managing with everything, you know, how are you working out, like doing the mom thing, working, just doing everything, you know. And it just made us realize that there's such a desperation among women, and women needed like a community, and not like a community where, you know, it's shallow or it's not real and you don't get into like the tough stuff, like and so we created Rise, and we had no idea what we were doing. We created an ebook, here we are like a year later, and we didn't know what Rise was going to be. We had no plan. We weren't like, oh, let's host events, let's do fitness, let's do, like mental health and challenges and all of it. We didn't know. And it just kind of worked out, I guess. So it's been the most incredible journey, and we've managed to accomplish so much. And by accomplish, I don't mean like we've made money or we've met with like thousands and thousands of women, which we have and are all great accomplishments, but we really measure our success by each individual woman and the experience that they've had and kind of how they've journeyed, and just how they've kind of found more purpose in their life and found more direction for their life through this Rise movement, if you will call it that.
That's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. So what's been the hardest part now about Rise, considering we've gone into COVID-19, and I know that you and Tammy were doing events quite often around the country and hosting community events as well, and really starting to build that up. It's been a quick year, because I remember seeing it up. So how have you kind of pivoted that strategy?
Well, that was it. I don't feel like there was a massive challenge where we were like, oh my gosh, this is, with some people that has been the case, where they've just been like, it's like, it's done. What can I do? So we never had that moment of like, oh my word. What we did have was a massive sense of responsibility for the women that we had kind of brought with us on this journey, to make sure that, they were all managing the lockdown well. And it's been quite extraordinary to see how challenging it has been for a lot of people, including myself, and including Tam on some days, but just how challenging it's been, and to make sure that we're still serving those people well, and still bringing some sort of purpose to their life, and making them feel encouraged, and making them feel like they're not alone in this time, So it was just that. It was just figuring out the pivot. And we've managed to do that. We've moved our events completely online, which has been incredible, because we were planning on traveling globally this year, going overseas and doing Rise events. We've had huge amounts of requests from Australia, Dubai, and London as well. So we were planning on going overseas this year, but of course, with the COVID situation, it's not allowed. But what it has allowed is for those women to really feel like they are able to attend the events now, kind of be involved in the community a little bit more. So we've had so many women join us from all over the world now, and it's been incredible. And it's been so nice to kind of bring them into this South African group of women that we have already, and just make it bigger and larger. And it's just been a beautiful thing. But it was just figuring out that pivot and what it looked like, and making sure that we were still serving and doing as much as we could. But I can't actually say that we've had a massive challenge during this time where it's just been like disaster, because everything, we've got some merch that we sell online as well, and that was more for reminders. So the women that attend our events, we used to have either we support a lot of local women-owned brands as well, and either a beautiful little bangle or a little necklace or a shirt that says something, just to remind them of the experience they had on that morning. And when they look at themselves in the mirror and they're wearing the shirt, or when they look at the bangle, it kind of reminds them what happened that morning, and the purpose that they have, and just that they're equipped for the life that they're living. So it was just a pivot, I think.
That's a wonderful message, and I love that you do have an aspect and focus on mental health as well. It's so important, especially when training. So it also just makes me think that you seem so body confident on social media as well. You post very openly and honestly during your pregnancy, and I remember seeing you post about your body post-pregnancy and really it. So I was just wondering, how have you always been body confident, and how did you sort of get there?
Oh, definitely not. I don't think there's a woman on this earth who's always been body confident. I think at some time in our lives we've all, because that's the society, and that's what they do to women, and that's yeah, that's just what, the society creates, that we have to be perfect. And what is perfect actually? Like, who gets to decide what that is, and who gets to decide what good looking is, So I think what happened was I got to a point where I had been on social media long enough that I just started getting thick skin, and that's not a pun, but like I just started getting like less affected by what people had to say about me, and I literally have read it all, literally. So I just didn't care. And then I was so tired of people like hearing about people body shaming me, and I had just had a baby, and I remember a couple of my friends had recently had babies as well, and I vividly remember I was boxing, and I remember I would always wear long sleeve shirts because my arms were so they weren't fat, but they were so big, and they had like cellulite and stuff. And I remember when I boxed, I was so self-conscious about it, so I wore long sleeve shirts, and I never wore shorts. I always wore tights, long tights. And then I started seeing all my friends that had just had kids, and I saw them doing exactly the same thing. And I was like, they are probably feeling exactly the same way that I feel. And the fact that I feel responsible for my following, I feel responsible for the stuff that I put out on social media. I never do it just because. It's always I always try to post stuff with intention. And it just made me realize, with that, with the fact that a lot of my friends are doing it, I was like, this is not okay. Like, why a superhuman woman who have just given birth to a whole human being, why are we feeling like we are inadequate, we are not good enough, we can't have our arms out? Who says that that's not okay? And I just got so worked up the one day, and I was like, I just had enough. I was like, you know what, no, like, I never want another woman who's had a baby to look at my profile and be like, wow, she's working out so much. And then all of a sudden I have this good body again, and everyone's like, wow, look how she went back to her before kids body. And I was just like, I don't want that. So I did this post, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you guys know that, like, I've just had a baby. My body is not in like the healthiest shape, but it's okay. And I want you guys to know that it's okay. You don't have to train head to toe, you can show a bit of skin, you can feel good and confident in the body that you have now. Like, you have, by all means, just grown a human being. So just stop like shaming. And I never wanted a woman to compare themselves to me. I wanted them to relate, always wanted them to relate.
Yeah. And touching on that, I know you've received a lot of criticism and being in the public eye very often, from your body to your relationship with Sia, how you raise your kids. I remember you straightened your daughter's hair, and the amount of back she got on that, I was just like, oh my word, you can't tell someone how to raise you're not abusing your child,
Yeah.
Doing my hair as a girl with my mom was like my favorite thing, because it was quality time with mom. And
yeah.
How do you, I see you also sort of clap back, as they say, but how do you keep your head above water with that as well? How do you just sort of let it be water off a duck's back?
I think that my faith has a big part in that. So I love Jesus with like my whole heart. He's just the coolest thing in the whole world. But I think that truly I'm so rooted in, what God thinks of me, that I just care less and less and less what people have to say about me, and I've always been quite strong in never changing that. So to always stand up for what I believed in, no matter what kind of backlash I got, in the meantime, but to always remain consistent in that I know who I am, I know what God thinks of me, and just not to care so much about what people think, because you're never going to satisfy everyone. That's a fact. Not everyone is always going to love you. And I think just as far as, the clap back, there's so much that people criticize that's so ridiculous, that it's just like, are you for real? Like, are you serious? And I remember when I started growing on my platform and stuff and becoming friends with other celebrities, and always the advice that I would get is just don't respond to the hate, like just ignore it, always. And I was just like, why? I don't understand why must I do that? So I did for a long time. She's not going to be quiet, she's not just going to let. So if you have something to say, you're going to have to go make a whole fake account and then say it and not get a reaction because it's a fake account. So yeah, I just think that it's important for people to know that they can't just run around saying whatever they want to say, that there could potentially be a consequence for that. And you know what, if you're going to be mean, then you must be able to accept people being mean back.
Yeah. And just touching on about the racism that you and Sia used to receive, I'm sure that the Black Lives Matter movement has been so close to both of your hearts and your family as well. And you've seen it evidently in South Africans and South Africa, where we're supposed to be a rainbow nation. And is this also sort of kind of a message that you and Sia want to portray with the Kolisi Foundation, is that we're all human beings and we must help one another? Because I know both of you are very vocal about social injustices, racism and the gender-based violence.
You know what, with regards to the Black Lives Matter and of course with the foundation, you know, I don't understand why people are not pushing the movement forward and not supporting the movement. So yeah, we have been extremely vocal about it, and you know, you mentioned saying that it's close to our hearts and our family's hearts. I think it should be close to everybody's hearts, and it should be close to everybody's family's hearts, because it's a very, very important movement, and it's heartbreaking that it's taken this long to kind of move it forward and move the conversations forward and kind of get people in more influential positions to have their eyes opened a little bit more. So, I mean, I'm exhausted a lot of the time, you know, trying to move it forward and supporting the movement. And then I just remind myself, like, can you imagine what a Black person feels like in this country, fighting this battle every single day of their lives? So I think, yes, it's a worldly problem, but it is 100% a South African issue as well. And I think that we, as all South Africans, need to take responsibility for that. And honestly, if Black lives don't matter to you, you know, if you're running around like, what about farm lives? What about all lives? No one ever said all lives didn't matter. What we're saying is Black lives matter. And I just think that a lot of people just need to kind of go back, do some research. There's a lot of information available at the moment. There's a lot of people doing really, really good talks. And, you know, it's kind of nice to see a lot of people are kind of sitting back and they're like, I don't really understand it, but I'm here. I just want to learn. So I think out of all of this, that's been a huge positive to see. But what I have found with a lot of my Black friends that I've been chatting with, you know, a lot of my friends have gotten to the point where they just feel like we're exhausted of fighting this battle. And I think that we as white South Africans need to be picking that up, you know, need to be picking up the battle on their behalf. And I think that it's super important. It's a big issue in South Africa, and it definitely is a conversation that needs to be moved forward.
And not only that is a problem within South Africa with the Black Lives Matter movement, also not getting as much traction as it rightly so deserves. But I just want to address what our president said last night about gender-based violence. And I know that he has posted very recently about gender-based violence as well. And you're also very vocal about it. I just wanted to get your opinion on what the president said in his address last night and what you thought of it, and if there's what's sort of missing still, you think, maybe in that link.
Well, I think he did a brilliant job. And you know, this woman that I spoke about briefly earlier that I'm trying to get the accommodation for, how I actually got into contact with her was because of a gender-based violence case. And the woman that she had taken in was almost killed by her husband after having a baby 3 weeks before. And I remember I received that message on a Wednesday morning because the woman that had been attacked had nowhere to go. And I remember vividly that evening, Mr. President addressed the nation, and all he said about gender-based violence was, men have declared war on our women. And I just remember I was fuming. I could just feel like my heart was burning, because I was like, I've just received this horrific message about this woman who's been like beaten to a pulp. And all my president is saying is, men have declared war on our women. I was like, is that all you have to say? So from that address to the address that he did last night, I think that it's been a complete 180, and it's been very refreshing. And I must say, as a woman in South Africa, I'm feeling confident in the fact that he's passionate. He's clearly passionate about it, and it's something that he is aware of and something that he is talking about more. What I do just really hope is, I was also a part of the marches that happened in Cape Town last year. The gender-based violence marches after, of course, Uyanene's death. And he addressed us there as well, and nothing came from that. So, there was no action. So I think just after his address from last night, all I hope truly is that things are put into action, and there's a lot more. We've all seen what can be accomplished in South Africa with the shutdown, with the strict alcohol and cigarette regulations. It's been incredible to see, and we all know that that kind of influence and that kind of situation is possible in South Africa. So I think that we want to see that level of effort put into protection over the women in South Africa as well. So I think all I can really hope for and say that I would really like to see is action. Just more men, I guess, talking about it as well. I would love to see that as well.
Yeah, I think we all would. I've seen so many things about where we must stop telling our daughters, be careful, be safe. We must educate our boys how to treat women, and it's time to teach our sons, not our daughters, how to hide. So I definitely would like to see, it's not all good and well saying, yes, there's a problem, but what can we actually do about it? So thank you for
Absolutely.
That was really, really nice to hear. I wanted to ask, what would be sort of your top tip for someone who's wanting to get involved in philanthropy work, or maybe even in the Kolisi Foundation itself?
So this is a good one, because you know what, I remember, before, when C and I were dating, like years and years and years ago, and my heart was always for the community, always for people that didn't have equal rights, didn't have equal opportunity. And it really was, it's always been, so if it's on your heart, and where it is, maybe it's with animals, maybe it's with children, maybe it's with elderly, maybe it's with food issues, maybe it's in health, who knows. But there is something that every time, and we talk about it at Rise, actually, that every time you think about it, it shatters your heart, or you read an article about it, it shatters your heart. That's actually where your purpose lies. So yes, as much as you need to have a job and pay your bills, I truly believe that people find their purpose in serving. And I was not always a person of influence. I didn't always have a bunch of followers on social media. I was also just I don't want to say a regular girl, because no girl is regular, but I was Rachel, and I worked a 9-to-5 job. I went to the gym, I went home, made dinner, didn't have kids, So I was just Rachel, and I used to do my little bit as well, without having a bunch of social media followers to back the projects that I was doing and stuff. So you don't need to do huge grand things to make a difference. It honestly is just doing something. So whether that's, you know, making a sandwich for someone on a daily basis, or maybe you don't have capacity to go out and do something, you don't have time, but if you financially are able, or find an orphanage nearby and see if you can support them with nappies once a month or whatever. Like, there's a need everywhere in South Africa, and I am so passionate. You know, our little caption is remember the one by one. And that's just, it was something that was so important to us, because I think a lot of people in South Africa, or a lot of people in general, count themselves out because they're like, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have influence, so what can I actually do? There's definitely something that you can do. So remember the one by one is just such a slogan that's so close to our hearts, because it's important just to remember the one person that you're helping, you know, and not to think that you need to have this huge grand foundation or huge grand project in order to help. And it's something with the foundation that we are very passionate about as well. So obviously on Instagram and social media everywhere, you know, people will contact us and say, I literally don't have food this month. I don't know who to ask. I can't get a government, you know, a thingy from the government or whatever. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And those people are important to us. You know, we don't need 100 people to feed. You know, one person is enough for us. So even those people, we organize food vouchers, which is not something we go out and advertise, otherwise we'll be bombarded. But you know, the one person in a desperate situation, we do prioritize to help as well. So by no means does it need to be a grand scheme of things. I think it's just doing something.
And who's always been a sort of mentor or role model for you?
I can't actually say that I've had someone specific. I can't say that there's a woman that I've been like, wow, like she's the one. But there have been many women that I have taken something from. So, you know, maybe a woman in philanthropy that I don't agree with, you know, maybe what she does outside of her work, but I'm so inspired, and I learn so much from what she does, you know, with her philanthropy work, or maybe somebody who nails motherhood, that I'm like, wow, I want to be a mother like that. So I can't say that it's a singular person. I think that it's a lot of different women that have influenced me from a young age to the point that I'm at now, that I go back and just draw inspiration from.
And I ask this to everyone that I host on the channel is, what does feminine leadership mean to you, or what does it look like to you?
Feminine. You go with it and everyone can know what I'm talking about.
But reminds me of that Finding Nemo scene, and
exactly. I think that what it means to me is really just allowing a woman a platform. And by no means does that mean a platform of, you know, on a stage with 10,000 people watching. I think just allowing a woman a platform, whether that's in the workspace, whether that's at home, whether that's, you know, in a grocery store, wherever it is, allow a woman a platform. I think that, yeah, that would be it for me.
And how do you think that businesses or social environments could be more inclusive of women as well, from your personal experience?
Well, that's interesting. I think that I think there's a lot of businesses and you know, social areas that definitely it needs to be addressed. They're still very much male dominated. I've actually got a very good friend of mine. I've got a very good friend and who is a engineer, and that's very much a male-dominated industry still. So I think that there's a lot of conversation that still needs to be had in a lot of the business environments. But again, if I can just go back to allowing women platforms, and I think as women, we naturally do, always tend to kind of go back to support one another. So, okay, I'm talking from experience of Rise. So we've got something called Rise Connect, where we support women-owned businesses, small women-owned businesses, and kind of network them together to, collaborate and work on bigger, better things. And I think that it would be great to see more men just kind of stepping back and being like, hey, okay, cool, I'm going to allow you to go first, So I think there's a lot of male-dominated industries that still need to definitely be addressed. And men need to just learn to step back and allow women to just show them what they've got.
And now this brings me to a segment I like to call the ABCs of your career. So, A, what was your amazing, affluent aha moment?
Well, I think it must have been our first event when we launched our ebook. So we weren't expecting on continuing with events. But I think when we launched our ebook on the 1st of June 2019, we realized what a need there was. And so many women just came up to us after that event and they were like, please, we need more of this. We need more of this. And I think Tam and I both just kind of looked at each other, and it wasn't like aha, we can make so much money. It was like aha, there's so many people who need help and we need to do more of this. So I think definitely, our first event, we realized we needed to do more, and that was really just to sow into women's lives.
B, what was your bad business blunder?
Luckily, we haven't had anything, there hasn't been anything that's been like, oh my gosh, disaster. But I think, hosting events, there's always a weather factor that comes into it. And I think that we've underestimated that on one or two occasions where one event we were going to host outside on a beautiful, but it was gale forced winds that day. It was a disaster. And we actually ended up having that event in a parking lot because we didn't have a plan B to the gale forced winds. So yeah, I think just events and the weather prep is something that we've had to. Yeah.
And C, it can be from your 9-to-5 job. It doesn't have to be now with Rise, but what was a sort of cinematic cock-up moment that just makes you giggle still?
I mean, I think during the lockdown, if you have kids, we've all had many, 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 many of those. But just one that pops to mind now is I was hosting a nutrition talk for a massive company, and there were thousands of people on the call from all over the world. And I was talking about like healthy eating and how I keep my kids healthy eating. And my daughter walked into the room and she was like, Mama, I want my sucker now. I want my sucker. So like a lollipop. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great for like all of these people, me talking about these healthy things that I feed my kids. And then she walks in like, I want my lollipop. So I guess that would be one of those moments where I was just like, oh my word, I don't know how to come back from this.
That's a wonderful moment. And now I normally move to the challenge section.
Okay, start game. Tom, are you ready? Okay, well, I'm going to be Tom today.
Hi, Tom.
Oh, shit. So it starts straight away. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. I don't know what that is. Okay, the sunglasses brand.
Ray-Bans
brand. Yes. Oh, no. Okay, I don't know if I can say this, but Afrikaans for coffee.
Coffee?
But the Afrikaans.
Coffee?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know who oh shit. Okay, that was my time. Okay, I got Ray-Ban and coffee. But I don't know. Pai Gon Yang and Schillenboer and Hans Teveen.
No idea who those are. Wow. Interesting.
Okay. Through.
All right. Are you able to switch back to the Zoom call quick so then you can have you on screen for your turn? Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So they always manage to predict everything, the yellow cartoon characters.
Minions?
No. Pardon?
The Simpsons.
Yes, Simpsons, yes. 14th of February.
Valentine's Day.
It's one of those free security things that always want to be on your browser.
No. No.
Time's up. So there was Lance Burton. I don't know who that is.
Don't know.
Battle of Waterloo. I don't know how to describe that.
I don't know what that is.
And then then you got The Simpsons, Valentine's Day, and then the other one was McAfee, MCAFE. I think that's the security brand.
Oh my god!
Like be added to your browser.
So good.
Should we do one more round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. Continue. Are you ready? Okay. Go. Oh shit. Okay, it's a subject that you have at school. The abbreviation for natural science.
NS.
Yes. Okay, and the what happened in 9/11 in America? Those things.
The Twin Towers.
What were they called? Yes. Shit, but this is literally in Afrikaans. No. Okay, well, I'll just tell you. It's Het Witte Huis. I don't know what that is. And Die Wereld leert door. Don't know. And what else we got? And Liefdebrief.
Why is there so much Afrikaans? That's so bizarre.
Maybe they like find your location.
Yeah. Is the language set to Afrikaans maybe?
Let me see. Oh shit. Settings. Oh, Dutch. That's why. So good. Awesome. So funny.
That's hilarious. Okay. It's the last planet. Well, it's not a planet anymore in the yes. It's where Hannah Montana was on.
Disney.
Yes. Where Game of Thrones was on and True Blood, all the like big
Mnet?
No. One. Yes. HBO. Okay. And then time's up. Oh. But you did well. 3. So HBO, Plato, Disney.
Woo!
I don't know who Alan Watts is.
Don't know.
And Diesel. So that would be obviously the brand.
Oh, yeah.
Or petrol. Well, the other.
Or the guy.
Or the guy. Vin Diesel, yeah.
I was just thinking, oh, shit, but is his name Diesel, Denzel? Oh, my word.
And now I wrap up the interviews with quick fire questions that I like to ask that you haven't prepared for, so you have to just answer them off the top of your head.
Awesome.
First one, I know that you are not a high heels fan, so how many pairs of sneakers do you have?
Probably more than 20.
Wow. That's so amazing. It's because you don't wear heels to events, you opt for sneakers, sorry. Sneakers.
Always.
Looks so comfy though, so I don't blame you.
No, it's the best. Honestly, every time I go to an event and everyone else is like, oh my gosh, my feet, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I could go all night.
Seriously.
What is your go-to like pump up song?
I haven't had one in years. There was one by Questa, but it's not a good name. It hasn't got a good name.
Okay.
I used to listen to that a few years ago, and that was like my pump up song. Otherwise, anything Rihanna is always good.
Good choice. And last one, are you a morning person or an evening person?
Evening, definitely.
I want to ask
Evening.
one last thing. What is a daily ritual that you can't go without?
Tea. Tea in the morning.
On this channel. What type of tea?
I love peppermint tea.
I've literally just made myself a cup of peppermint tea.
Awesome! It's the best.
So good. So delicious. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come onto the channel and for being so open and honest again. I've really appreciated it. And I hope you have
awesome.
Evening.
Thanks so much, Nikki. Have a great evening, and we will catch up soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope that tugged on your heartstrings as it did mine. Rachel has such a gentle yet powerful nature about her and her approach in everything that she does. Lessons that we can take from her is definitely to be kinder to ourselves and our mental image of ourselves, and to also be understanding of those around us and learning that we can help lift one another up instead of judging one another. With regards to philanthropy, there is definitely a lot that can be done and so much that can be done, but also to remember that us individually cannot fix the world's problems, but one by one we can remember to help someone else, as is emphasized in the Kolisi Foundation slogan. I enjoyed being able to speak to Rachel about the Black Lives Matter movement, as I do believe that there's still so much more to be done. I would like to link some resources below where one can educate ourselves on why this movement is so important. I think it was also very valuable to be able to speak to Rachel about the gender-based violence that is happening in South Africa today. There's so much more to be done and to make us as women feel safe. Once again, we need to sit back and listen and educate ourselves as to what is going on. I do hope that more action is taken, and I hope that this is something that we all can take home with us as well and think about.